Everybody has demons. How do you deal with your demons? Now, let's start by defining demon. First, what I mean by demon is a concept I call the inner critic. It's the part of you that criticizes, it's the type that judges, it's the type that really just eggs you on when you know that you shouldn't be going there. So ultimately what you discover is that demon, that inner critic, is part of what I would call our shadow nature. It's a Carl Jung's word for the things that you don't want to see in yourself and you project onto others. But the truth is, as long as you're not turning toward those demons and learning to master what's behind there, you fall behind. You keep hitting walls that you can't even see because you've trained yourself not to see the demon lurking in your mind. But there again, you get it. Okay, Randy, why do I want to sit there and turn towards someone that's going to criticize, judge me, and egg me on into stuff like that? Because in mastering your own personal demons is when you produce self-mastery. Because ultimately, that inner critic is just simply part of your human nature. Kind of like this, the Cherokee Indians of North America, southeastern North America, believed that man's mind was composed of two wolves, a dark, destructive wolf and a white, constructive wolf. And they believed that there was a fight, internal struggle going on between those two parts of the self, those two wolves. And the one that won, the dark side or the empowered side, became the destiny of the human. Yeah, takes on different significance now, doesn't it? And what the Cherokee did in their most brilliant spiritual philosophy is they held that the wolf that won was the wolf that you fed. Yeah. Now, if you don't want to see the destructive wolf and you put all your energy into not seeing it, it's going to be hard to not feed that wolf. And at the same time, you start starving the white wolf. So you have potential. And that dark side of yourself, that demon, that inner critic, is going to want to shrink the possibility of who you can be organized in. It's going to stop you from being your most compassionate, best self. It wants to stop that potential from growing and bringing in the light that you're bound to anyway. So you get it. It's this inner critic, this demon that lives within all of us. We all have it. If you conceive of your brain as a community of emotional programs that are duking it out, they're highly competitive with one another in order to structure your potential into a self that I might add you call you. So you already see that we're less than we could be. And we get organized that way simply because the brain's job is to organize you to survive. And it just so happens that, I don't know if you've noticed it, but we live in a pretty darn broken world. Okay? Then our brain is just doing its job. It organizes us to survive in that broken world. And what happens is, because of that, we get pretty dinged up. That's the human condition. It's neither bad nor good. It's just the human condition, and we realize that there are two wolves. There is a destructive part of ourselves, and there is a constructive part of ourselves, and they're really truly in a struggle with one another. And who wins? As you begin to recognize that your beliefs, these assumptions you have about what's out there, your beliefs are being projected onto the world all the time. And what happens is they create the lens that you see through. And ultimately, because you shrink what you can see, you don't see the potential that's sitting all around you. That's what that dark wolf, that's what that demon, that's what that inner critic would do. However, on the other side, there's something in us that yearns to explore, to deepen ourselves, to find out what we could be. Yeah. We all seek to have a better understanding of what would be. And the truth is, in order to do that, you're going to have to develop some empowered elements of the self. that can allow you to confront that dark side, that shadow side, and master it. You have to integrate it instead of run from it or hide from it or project it onto other people. Because the truth is, it's all happening here. You're creating your destiny, your reality, through your beliefs and interacting with the world. And what we want to do is get down to the point of where you don't hear the voice that's telling you that you're not going to make it, you're not good enough, you don't really matter, you have to make a bunch of money if you're going to matter, you're not really worth it, you have to prove yourself. No. There comes a moment when you are actually able to connect this deeper part of the self, and you discover that we all are born with inherent worth. And the job of that demon, of that inner critic, of that dark wolf, is to stop you from claiming your glory, from claiming the potential that you could be. And it does a great job. But as long as you don't recognize you're in a broken world and you've adapted to it, there's nothing wrong with you. Your brain has done a lot right. It's organized you to survive. It's done a good job. But now, you need to take it one step further. Instead of surviving in the moment, what we're looking to do is for you to begin to thrive, for you to be able to actually go, you know something? I want to have access to a deeper sense of my potential. And friends, you can do it. You start with inherent worth, and you also have to start with understanding that it's all tied into your emotional system, and you're going to have to organize that emotional system so that you have a completely different set of beliefs that are being projected out into the world. Because understand, you have 3 different observers of the same darn thing, and what will happen is they will see 3 different things. They are all different observers that are creating a different potential in their reality. What we want you to do is to be able to become an observer that finds that higher self that allows you to start building that self to be conscious all the time. So you're no longer shrinking back over into the shadow that you adapted to, but no, you are actually bringing the light of life into the world. That can be taught. Particularly once you get the idea that, oh, this is emotional nature, and the way you breathe is part of an emotion. As you learn to breathe diaphragmatically, you slow negative emotions down, and it allows you, as an observer, you have to become mindful, how you can begin to construct this self. Because ultimately, if you viewed your mind as a governing committee that has various forces, players that are really opposed to one another in an internal struggle about the construction of the company called self, what we want to do is to be able to find the discipline of a ruler, maintaining order. We want to find the courage of a warrior that can turn toward their fears and master them to protect the self. You want to find a deep, compassionate part of yourself because we all need mercy. We all need to belong. And we need to find that real clear thinking part of the self. We build a new mind with them as the lead in that governing committee. And we begin to take back the mutiny of letting the inner critic run the show often. And all of a sudden what you find out, the barriers, the invisible barriers that were there, you're beginning to see through. You're beginning to see the potential that you never saw. And then you can act on that potential and bring forth your world. Do you want to learn more? I encourage you to buy my book. I have one on Amazon that's kind of a primer, and I have one on my website that is really for a person who wants a really in-depth look about the emotional intelligence of self-development. Come, friends, come and learn. Begin to see how you got put together and what you can do about it to break free of kind of some of the binds that have held you, and to recognize that you actually bound yourself. It's funny. Come and learn, friends. Come and learn the tools that allow you to grow into the human being that you could be.